Hi, Paul Mott speaking. This is the fourth installment in our four-part series where we show you how to use CrystalWerx. Just to briefly review what was shown and demonstrated in the first three lessons. In the first lesson, we showed how we could take some SAP data that was loaded up in Excel spreadsheets and upload that to CrystalWerx tables. In the second demonstration, we showed how you could set up views to look at that data and display only those columns you wanted to see, and then also change the data types of certain columns so that things would sort properly and that you could filter them properly. In the third demonstration, we showed how we could set up views that allow us to control which fields are edited and which fields are read-only. We also set up an automatic value setter so that when certain inputs get changed, and other columns get automatically updated. And we also put in a validation rule that would detect situations where the data seemed to be incorrect and needed attention. In this last demonstration, we're going to show how we can use CrystalWerx to actually manipulate and combine the information that's located in these four different tables to produce a report. So this is just one example. Maybe it's a real example or not, but the idea here is that we're going to generate a report, and what we'd like to have is the total value of inventory per storage location. So in order to do this, we need to combine the data that's located in the different tables, and we're going to output this report into a new table type that we're actually going to create. So let's just jump right in and do that. And what we're going to start off with is in the studio here, in our table types. These are, of course, the four table types that were created for us during the import of the data, and then we've actually gone in and modified them a little bit to add the rules and change the column data types. And now what we'd like to do is create a brand new table type from scratch. And this will be the table that will actually hold our report. So what we need to do is just define what we want to call those columns in our new table type. And so I've got these columns here. I want the material description. I want to have the storage location, the total stock, and the total value. And of course, this table type needs a name, so we're going to call it the SLOC value table type. So we'll go ahead and create that. And we see that on the screen now. Here's our columns that we requested. Pretty much don't need to do anything other than I want to go in and change this to say that the total stock is actually an integer data type, and the total value is actually money data type. Okay, so we've got that done. Now the question is, how are we going to start moving the data out of these other tables into this new report? And the way we do that is using something called a copier. A copier is a very powerful feature that CrystalWerx provides, and allows you to basically move data from one table to another. And those two tables don't have to be the same. So if we look at this screen here for copiers, we notice the first drop down is the table type. So let's choose the new table type that we just created, and this is going to be the destination. This is the table type that we're trying to fill up with data. And now we need to choose, well, where does that data come from? It could be the same table type, or it could be a different table type. So in the example that we're trying to do here, where we want to get the storage locations, we're going to go ahead and say that the input table is our MARD table, our SAP storage locations. And we'll give this copier a name. We'll just say that it is to capture the location. And that's it. We're ready to create that new copier. And now we'll see it on the list here, so we want to go ahead and just take a look at that. And we see that what it did was, for the output table type that we have just created, our SLOC val, it matched up with the MARD columns, material, and SLOC. So these columns existed the same in both of the table types, and it automatically matched them. As for the other ones, it's up to us to decide what we want to do. So I'm actually going to leave the material description blank. That's fine. But because these are numeric values, I want to make sure that they're loaded up with default values like a 0 and a 0. So this could be another column. It could be a static variable, or it could be a static constant like the number 0 in this case. So we're telling the copier to populate the columns of the output results with these values. And that copier is ready to use. So we can actually go back over here to our CrystalWerx factory, and let's go ahead and load up the MARD table. And let's suppose that we wanted to locate just a certain set of storage locations. So we will put in a filter here to find a certain group of storage locations. And here we have something coming back with just 4 matches, which is fine for our demonstration here. And so we have these 4 rows being displayed after the filtering, and what we want to do now is just copy those into a new table. So we'll go to our table operations, we'll say copy, and we're going to go to a new table name, which we're going to call SLOC report, okay, storage location report. And the copier we're going to use is the capture location copier, which is really the only one available to us in this list, because only one copier has been defined where the source is the MARD table, and this is it. So I'll go ahead and copy that table. It just takes a moment in the background with 4 rows. We get a notification here that the copy is completed, and we look at this table and we don't really see anything. And that's because anytime you have a table type, you need to actually create a view for it. So we didn't do that yet. So let's go back to our studio and go look at the views and select our table type SLOC value. These are the columns that are in there. Let's just create a new view called Browse and create that view. And now if I go back here to the table type and just reload that again, let's see here, we need to go to the SLOC report table. Okay, now we have this browse view, and we can see that the copy operation took those material numbers and storage locations, and it put zeros in these 2 columns and left this one blank, just as we asked it to do. So now we're going to fill up these other columns with information from the other tables. It's almost like a join operation in a database, but what we're going to do with CrystalWerx is a merge operation. So CrystalWerx allows you to combine data using something called a merge operation. And in order for that to work, we need to go back to the studio and have a look at our table types here. And we notice that there is a column here called key name. And what we want to have in there is the name of the column that contains the primary key for this data. So I've already gone in and edited these existing data types that were created for us by the gateway, and said that for each one of these, the actual primary key is the material. I need to do the same thing here for my, oops, that was the wrong button. I need to do the same thing here for my new table type that I created. So I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to say that his key name is the same, it's material. So now whenever I want to do a merge operation, the way that the CrystalWerx is going to handle that is it's going to take a row from the source and take this primary key value, find a matching row in the destination, and then transfer the data across as was described by the mapping in the copier between the destination and the source. So now that I have these key names set up, I can go back over here to my copier, and let's create another copier. Again, we're trying to move data into our SLOC value table type. And this time we want to get, let's just say, the general material data from the MARA table. So we'll select that as the input. And this time we're going to say that we're trying to capture the materials. All right, so we can create that new copier. And there it is on the list. And if we just take a quick look at that, We can see that, again, it found these matching columns in the source and the destination and automatically filled them up for us. These other ones, it couldn't find a match, so it left them blank. I'm going to continue to just leave those blank because all I'm really interested in this case is just getting the material description. Now, the merge operation could behave two different ways. It could take all of the rows in the source and make sure that they exist in the output, or it could just leave the rows that exist in the input and merge them with whatever it can find in the destination. So where we can change that behavior is by changing this token right here. This @ symbol means take the value from the source table. But what we're going to do now is change it to say just use the value that's in the destination table right now by changing that to a $sign. That basically will change the merge so that it doesn't expand it all the way out. It just leaves it the same number of 4 rows. That copier is ready to use. If we go back to the table and let's have a look at our tables. Excuse me, and let's look at the Mara table. And we've got all of our rows here available for us, and we look at our table operations. We say that we want to merge with an existing table, which is our SLOC report. Now we have a matchup where we see that, oh yes, there's a copier available for that to capture the materials. So we'll just go ahead and do that merge, and that just takes a second to run. And the merge should be completed by now. And we see that what happened was it just picked up the material descriptions and put them in there just as we want. It left everything else the same, but merged in the material descriptions. We can do the same thing one more time to capture the actual the stock and the value. So let's go back here to our studio, and let's go back to our copiers, and we want to create another copier that moves data into our SLOC value table type. And this time our source is actually going to be the MBEW table, which has got our material valuation information. And this time we're going to say capture the values as the name. So we'll create that new copier, and there it is on our list. We'll take a quick look at that. And we see that it finds that there's a total stock and a total value matching up between the source and the destination table types. It also found the material. Again, we want to do the same thing to where we're just merging the data into and not out. And change that to a $sign. All right. So that copier is now ready to use. If we go back to our table in a factory tables, this time we're going to load up the MBU table, and this time, or excuse me, again we want to choose the table operation, so we have all of the data available. We choose our table operation. We want to do a merge. We want to do it with our SLOC report. The copier that's available to do that will capture the values, so we'll do that merge table operation right there. It just takes a second to run. Should be done by now, and there we go. So now we have our total stock. So it didn't fill these in because there was no stock reported, but we did capture on this material number 200 the fact that we have 9,900 and we have 240. Oh, is that $2.5 million of value there? So the point is that we have taken the data, isolated, and combined it in a different way, and at this point now we have this SLOC report table which we could export back into Excel to do further analysis or generate some charts or do whatever we want to do with it. So CrystalWerx did its job in allowing you to easily merge this data, chop it up, and put it back together any way you want to do. So hopefully after watching this you have a pretty good idea of what you can do with CrystalWerx. There's a lot more advanced topics we're going to get into in our next series of demonstrations. But after going through these 4 demos in our introductory series, hopefully you can sit down with your data, and get it up into CrystalWerx and create some views and maybe set up some rules to do validation and start working with it today. So please go to CrystalWerx.com. You can create a free account. Just go through a simple registration process and get started. So we appreciate you taking the time to watch all of these demonstrations, and we thank you very much, and have a great day. We'll see you at the next demonstrations that we give very soon. Thank you.